Night in the public realm is a social and a psychological space. Yeah? Thanks. It has terrors, it has mysteries, it has enchantments, but probably one of the greatest delights of city night is the opportunity that it brings you, that it offers, that you brings you into contact with strangers who are also out in the night. In this psychological space, everything that glows sees everything. Glow watches us, it looks out for us, it monitors us. We look at it, we watch it, and it watches us. But in the last century, we've dropped a kind of curtain of light over the city. We've altered not only the nighttime, but we've altered ourselves and our psychology. We expect light. We insist on it, row after row of it. So much so that when we experience 2 consecutive light bulbs burnt out on a street, or a vacant lot, or a construction site, it's more like a wound to the psyche than it is like 80 feet of unlit pavement. And yet, till 100 years ago, there was no permanent street lighting system anywhere. And still we went out and we traveled and we got lost and we got found and we met other people. We encountered strangers in the street. We used pre-industrial, pre-electrification, up to the minute, cutting edge, dark ages technology. We captured what was there and we carried our own light. Some of our roads actually followed the arc of the Milky Way. We made wayfinding devices out of piles of chalky soil that we piled along the edge of the roads. We painted rocks at the edge of the water to catch stray light, so we could see boundaries and limits and dangers. The white painted bases of trees became signposts and roadway markers, and we made structures high up in the landscape as beacons to warn us of certain kinds of dangers and to orient us to home. And we made lanterns. We hollowed out turnips and filled them with a spot of lit oil. And we captured fireflies and we carried them along the street with us as we went door to door. Our lanterns were absolutely self-contained, ready for use, and perfectly mobile. In the 20th and the 21st century, the function of glow, the beacon, the lantern, the marker, the wayfinding device, and the watcher has been fused together into the Superman of utilities, the lamppost. A mild-mannered piece of street furniture during the day. At night, the lamppost wards off rape, stops crime, stops theft, vandalism, even murder. It's our emblem of urbanity and our radiant, always present security device. What we suggest tonight is that perhaps it's time to relieve the lamppost of some, but not all, of its burdens, and reconsider the lantern and the virtues of amplifying what exists.
So our challenge was the request for more light in vacant lots and neglected streetscapes. Actually, I think there was a new lamppost request in there too, but we're not, rather than approach it that way, rather to then add more kind of unsustainable foot candles, we decided to take some of the beautiful scenarios that Linnea told and try to update them. In a certain way the window uses kind of cutting-edge lamination technology, but it also uses historical gilding to just reflect the ambient light in the room. And the centerpiece actually is, it's a cut shape, like a lens that expands ambient light. So, the way we took the challenge was to animate the dark and as a consequence, make it safer, and to create an array of social spaces in the city at night. Now, this challenge really exceeds the responsibility and sustainable responsibility of public infrastructure and city agencies. It really extends to the private domain and things like vacant lots. And so it really extends to you, the people, who can participate in the design. So if you all adopt the mindset of our historical travelers who use the sky to light their way, we propose now some contemporary ways to capture the plentiful ambient light of the city, as in this one that's been on your screen, which is the chalk that Linnea was speaking of, that lit our path, has been dumped in a vacant lot as an art installation, and also just might illuminate a poker game. Or these things can be seasonal, or as in an igloo lit by the moon, or they can be theatrical and occasional, as in a performance in which the only light is given off by the costumes. These three examples are what we would call animated beacons that draw attention to themselves and as a consequence generate gatherings and in that way create watchfulness. But we can also illuminate the space itself rather than create events and thereby create kind of places of more spontaneous social opportunity, as in vacant lots that could be where their fences are actually fabric that is woven with photovoltaic thread in part, or the underside of this L that Linnea painted in white, turning it, and that's before and after, really is pretty amazing, turning it from an urban threat to an urban threshold. Or this parking lot where we propose painting the tree trunks to mark a territory as a nighttime hangout. Now, all three of the previous things we suggested are, in a sense, territorial markers, signaling that a place and also what takes place there is somehow intentional and legitimate. Even inaccessible places can offer light and event, as in this construction site in Bat Yam outside Tel Aviv, which is illuminated every night with a compact fluorescent lantern that's hung from a crane. And we know from talking to our partners in the city that construction sites in New York are a real issue from the point of view not just of the pedestrian, but from the point of view of the city, because they're extremely expensive to light. Developers pay top dollar and they use things like incandescents, so, and therefore they tend not to light their sites at all. In this next example, Tillett Design and Pentagram painted a blank wall along a street, so it's episodically illuminated by passing cars and bicycle lights. So therefore, I love this, it's the privileged experience of the traveler and also their guide. To secure the wayfinding of the contemporary urban traveler, we could amplify street light simply by doing things like paving with mica impregnated surfaces that reflect the glow, as seen in this alley, and as we know from Linnea, everything that glows sees. We can, once again, this time without turnips, glow. The mobile phone as a lantern indicates that we really are willing to separate ourselves from the grid and the homogeneity of light and safety that it implies. In fact, much of the developing world, intent on skipping a few industrial revolutions, does just that, as we see in this inspirational scene of children each holding their own portable moon that, like the real moon, is powered by light gathered from the sun. That's it.